So, let's talk about you.
Okay, what do you want to know?
Let's talk about your life story.
Life story.
Uh-huh.
I was born in Modesto, California.
Okay. Terrible
Uh,
place.
yeah, definitely different. Had a mother, father, we're kind of like, years apart from each other. So I always thought that was kind of odd how they were so far apart in age, I thought. But as far as I can remember, one of my first memories would be of my grandpa Butch. I was very young. I remember playing bowling. He had this little plastic bowling setup, the game for kids, and from that moment on, I remember really getting in touch with things around me. I started memorizing faces around me. I started understanding a lot of things like that. So because of that, I started building like friendships with people. I started trying to put feelings and everything like that into everything I'd see, and I became who I am. I guess I fucking very weird, but let's see. That's like the earliest time I could think of for like being a baby, like a very very young baby. As I grew older, if I can remember right, we lived in a grandma and grandpa's house over on Esmar Road. I remember times like that. Grew out in the country, had a big ass orchard that we could go run around and play in. It was a lot of fun. I remember a lot of happy times and a lot of annoying times. My brother Josh, he had night terrors all the time, so he would be very scared and he would wake up in the middle of the night and cause a whole bunch of havoc and stuff like that. He would be really, really just terrified and everything. My mom and dad fought a lot, like from day one, like all the time. I remember that father would punch holes in walls, call names, and throw phones and do all that.
I do
Uh,
remember going through a lot of phones in that
yeah,
house.
a lot of phones. I grew older, and yeah, more phones were broken. Started developing a habit for spinning beads
I
because
remember
I needed
that.
to get away from. I felt like I needed to have a some sort of outlet, so I had a very active imagination.
Mm-hmm.
I would create worlds whenever I would spin my beads, and I think a lot of this also had to do with me dealing with trauma of losing my grandpa Butch at such a young age too. I remember dealing with my mom very upset and crying a lot because she lost her father, and that always affected her. And I grew an attachment to my mother because I felt bad for her at such a young age. She really leaned on me to the point to where like actually became I felt like a duty to her to always protect her and do all these things for her. I always felt that I could create a world that Grandpa Butch didn't die in. Create a world that things were just better. And I remember that was one of the first stories I made up in my head. It was just a peaceful world where everybody was happy and I didn't have to worry about anything. I could just deal with whatever I wanted to and have fun with whatever. The more I grew and the older I grew, the bead spinning became just a way for me to process things, and it became something I would come home and do it. And I would skip school just to spin beads. I remember that. I would sit and I would play with myself for fucking hours, like 4 to 8 hours a day.
Playing with yourself for
And
hours. Yeah, no, I got that.
yeah, I would do a lot of that, and I remember growing up, obviously playing a lot of video games and stuff like that too. Even though I never really had an understanding of the video games, but I really
Mm-hmm.
liked playing them. My brothers played them. You guys, everyone played them, so I felt like a sense of community there with that, and I found somewhere where I'd fit in. A lot of my bead spinning started turning into different types of stories that I would tell in my head because I couldn't raid or anything like that on EverQuest, for example. I would imagine myself as a raider. I would actually be doing the fights and stuff like that in my own head, and I would pretend I was the tank, or I was a healer, or DPS, doing all that stuff. I had my own raid force in my head, and I took down each bosses, and I would even imagine the interactions I would have with the other players, and each player had their own backstory, and I would actually have feelings connected with them, and it would go into like this whole Inception type thing, which is why it would be like 4 to 8 hours per story in my own head. This was my entire life. Like this was exactly my entire life. I imagined like a lot of things.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, a lot of things. Um,
How
uh,
often would you say that your feelings are connected to your decision making?
every day, like everything I do. Not so much anymore. They used to be.
Hmm.
I try to look at more things like a lot more logically now that I'm older, because my feelings tend to not be right,
Oh,
or I get too invested in my feelings, or you know, a lot of the times they are right whenever it comes to, like, you know, my job and stuff like that. I could do that, but whenever it comes to normal, you know, real life shit, like I'll let bills go just to satisfy another bill, or, you know, do things like that, and that's obviously not a good decision. I feel like that's the right choice though.
so can you give me
But
some examples of when you decided that your feelings were gonna, kind of take the wheel,
Oh, at a young
guide your
age,
decision?
like I said, like as soon as like that story, my first memory, like that was whenever I felt like I actually remember feeling anything. Grandpa Butch was sitting on a brown leather chair inside the living room, throwing a ball or rolling a ball, and CJ got irritated, and he picked up the ball and tried to steal it from me and shit like that, and I felt bad for him, and so I decided to come in second place and gave him the ball. Things like that. Like that's like whenever I really started connecting my feelings together.
Okay. How do you think that translated into your adult life?
Ever since that memory, it translated into like everything I did. So everything that I would do from that decision forward, I have no problem being in second place. I really enjoyed lifting anybody else around me to first place, and that's really what I love doing. I do that in my job now, working in ABA with autistic adults and things like that, and
Hmm.
fucking veterans and things. It's you have to really put yourself last and really do your best to basically create a world for the other people around you and make it as good as possible for them.
So do you act as their imagination?
Do I act? Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It's a fantastic way of putting it. Not only their imagination, but I have to make their actual imagination come true. Like I actually have to turn it into reality.
Oh wow, that's got to be tough with autistic adults then.
It's very, very tough, but through repetition and things like that, it actually goes pretty well.
Wonderful news.
If you're good at picking up stories and, you know, making them up as you go, you could turn nothing into something like really easily.
Hmm.
I had an adult, a 32-year-old man, freaking the fuck out, seeing darkness and whatnot, and he started attacking adults and or started attacking the other staff and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
I actually had to step in the other day, and I grabbed the dude some water balloons. We have a little bin in the back, and I don't know why I thought this would work, but I grabbed up these water balloons and I smashed it in his face.
Oh.
Yeah, he loved it. We ended up having a water balloon fight, and as soon as that happened, everything was fine. He's like everything was cooled off. Basically, all he did was create a baseline that there was no other staff doing. He needed something to shock him. I
Okay.
felt. I can't hit anybody. I felt like he was justified in his feelings, so I felt like he didn't really need any, like, you know, physical intervention. You know, he wasn't hurting staff enough to actually really to feel like a threat to me. Even though other people around me would disagree, I don't think he was to a point like that. So I just did what nobody else wanted to do or nobody else could think of doing. Apparently at that time around me, like all the people around me.
Hmm.
I created some sort of shock value or some sort of shocking thing that just snapped him back into reality, I guess.
Uh, do you get the impression that you are, how would I say it? You are more aware of what someone's feeling than maybe the rest of the staff?
Yeah. There's very few that I would actually say that's like on my level of actual like I
Well, right. No,
that may
that's
sound like really really like cocky and things like that, but like I feel a lot harder than a lot of people. I think.
Okay.
I'm able to empathize with people a lot more. I'm able to look into somebody's eyes and basically copy their postures, their everything. Like I could like copy body language
Hmm.
really, really well. And because of that, humans they speak with 97% of their body. Like that's they. I don't need to actually understand somebody to talk to them, like language wise.
An invaluable skill, I'd imagine.
Yeah, yeah. We have multiple people who actually can't talk, so um,
Oh,
it's yeah. We have a lot of nonverbals.
nonverbal. So they
We
they
have
they can't speak, or they
six.
just choose not to.
No, they can't speak. Like they actually
Oh.
know no matter what. Like they have some sort of disorder, like a mental disorder or anything like that. That
Hmm.
they just they make noises.
Okay. Yeah.
That's all that they could do, or they script. We have one scripter as well. He basically just says a bunch of random things that he hears from movies, and that's his entire
Oh,
sentence.
kind of like
So he'll
Bumblebee from the Transformers movies.
yeah,
He can
yeah, that's
only.
fucking perfect perfect comparison. Actually, it's
That's
very
unfortunate.
very similar to that.
Uh, you know,
So you have to be really good at body language because you verbally it doesn't matter. Like it, you can't really talk to him very well.
well, right. I imagine that someone's posture might give you a clue as to their intentions, right?
Yeah,
If
yeah,
they
for
take an
sure.
aggressive stance, they might, try to attack someone, for example.
Yeah, yeah. Sweatiness, eyebrows tensing up, uh,
Hmm.
neck turns even. Uh, you see just little spotting or anything like that. We have a few that just start tensing up and shaking.
Hmm.
Their fists closed, but their face looks the same. So
Uh,
you have to be able to look at the entire body, and even the one that comes to mind right now is Daniel, and he has OCD loops, so he's really, if you're good at pattern recognition, you could really pick up on his movements and things like that. You know what he's going to do, you know his routines,
hmm.
you kind of know where he's going to step. If you're really good at reading and getting to know his twitches and little quirks and things like that, you could actually, that's what I'm looking for, prevent a lot of behaviors that he'll have before they even happen. Before he even thinks about having a behavior, you could prevent it if you know what to look for early on.
And when you see these things happen, do you, what goes through your mind? I mean, do you feel what they're feeling, or do you just kind of analyze it coldly on a more logical level?
No, I do both. I'll analyze it, so I'll see eye squinting and things like that, and I'm gonna look at the environment that he's placed in first, and I'm gonna see maybe there's something around him that's upsetting him. And I look around, I'm like, okay, you know what? I see that there's this little piece of paper out of place, and I'm like, if I had OCD, that would probably piss me off.
Hmm.
So I go and remove that piece of paper, and he's happy. He can't actually communicate that he doesn't want that piece of paper there.
So you really have to empathize with your charges, your wards.
Yeah.
How do the other staff deal with it if they're not as now if they're not on your level? I mean, what do they do?
There's a science to it. Like if you're good at the science, like you could pick up things, and you have a really good chance of learning it. Like discipline. If you're disciplined enough, I think you could pick it up.
Okay.
Luckily, I'm more like naturally gifted with it, so I'm able to do that. But I actually have a really hard time learning the actual science behind things, and so there's like if it wasn't for my natural ability of doing these things, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. Not properly anyway. But yeah, there's a whole science to it, and I've met a lot of the obviously the doctors who've wrote this science or helped be a huge part of the science.
Mm.
They create the plans that our kids follow or our adults follow, and so they could go in there and they know exactly what to look for, what things to do to prevent things. Like they have the science down perfectly. I feel like it's really almost perfectly.
Hmm. Yeah. What things would you add to it
What things would I add to it?
if you feel like there's anything to add or
There's a
alter,
few things that
change?
I would probably fix or change or do things, but
Yeah.
I feel like most important thing is to really hire the right people.
Sure. I mean, what would you be looking for
I
in hiring?
if you have certain people who don't want to learn the science, who aren't passionate about the science at least, or if you don't have people who have a natural ability to empathize and things like that, like I do, then you're going to get these people who shouldn't be there, and they're going to cause more harm to everybody around them. We had one incident to where we have staff there who's no longer there, but he caused one of the kids there to cut his wrists and things like
Oh,
that, like really pushed him over the edge, and ended up having to take him to the hospital. There was a big old fight. Ended up one of our staff getting paralyzed. Um,
do you get hazard pay?
no,
Mm-mm.
no, we just go along with it. It should never get to that point. I feel like that's if you're letting it get to that point, you're just not paying attention to training. You're not doing anything correctly whatsoever. But it does
Mhm.
happen because people are not right for the job.
Most certainly.
And
I would.
that goes for everybody. Like I don't think I'd be able to cook in a professional kitchen. Uh,
But you'd like to.
I would like to. It sounds fun, right? But like, no, I don't think I actually would want to be honest. Like, it just sounds too fast paced for me, and I
Hmm.
feel like it would just be I would probably get hurt or end up hurting other people. So I yeah, if I with enough training and stuff, and if I actually had a passion for it, then yeah, sure, why not?
Well, I mean, first get rich.
I could act like a chef. That'd be fun,
Sure,
But
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I can't actually be a chef. I don't think not naturally.
No, I would think that if you were to do something like that, it would be something like, you had a lot of money and decided to open a restaurant, and then once in a while you might show up and,
Oh yeah, no, I'd be a
cook
perfect
something.
like a money handler. Like I'd be, or I'd be a great manager. Or an
Sure,
owner. I
yeah.
think.
So, when it comes to experiencing these feelings, is that do you necessarily need to focus on someone to get a read, or do you just kind of pick it up from people naturally,
Depends on the
automatically?
energy that they're putting off. I feel like if I look at somebody and I could easily pick up on their body language.
Hmm.
Then yeah. But some people are a lot better at hiding things than others.
Okay, yeah, I want to
Um,
hear about that. Give me some examples if you have any.
I always look at relaxed people. If they have a smile on their face or anything like that, their eyebrows are lifted. They're probably in a good mood and stuff like that. They're not gonna like cause any harm or anything like that.
Hmm.
Some people have this really blank expression that you really, I always call it the serial killer face. Like you really can't tell any emotion, and that I've noticed too that also facial hair and beards really hide faces, and so
Okay.
it's hard to tell a smile or a mouth. And so without being able to tell what a mouth looks like, it's the same thing with like COVID right now with a mask on.
Uh-huh.
It's very hard to read facial expressions.
No, I heard that the masks may be inhibiting some children from picking up language
Yeah, I
at
could
the
see
younger
that.
ages, and that they're not able to
I
see.
especially at younger ages, like I could totally see that because we really at a younger age we have to read mouths and lips. It really helps put everything together
Hmm.
to form a word.
That's normally how it happens. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I could see that. I hope to God that somebody's investing in see through masks.
I doubt it. Um,
I do too, but here we are. People don't think.
are there
Um,
is there a type of person you have a more difficult time reading? Like, is there a particular type of person?
no, I could read everybody. Like
Oh, fantastic.
I could safely say that as long as you don't have anything covering your face or like anything like that, like I'm very, very good at body language.
So the Achilles heel here is just not being able
Yeah, if no
to see
face, no
them.
case.
No face, no case. I'm gonna steal that. So, have you seen any of my videos?
Yeah, I watched a
So,
few.
did any impressions come to mind watching any of my stuff?
Very happy doing them.
I'm very happy doing them.
You at
Okay.
least portray that. You're really passionate about what you talk about. You truly believe what you speak. At least that's what I see. But I mean, you could be a good actor as well.
Anything's possible, right?
Never know. Have to get to know you a little bit more and actually, pay attention to little quirks and things like that. Actually, like, really see it.
That's fair. Build a case, a profile on
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
How good would you say you are at building those profiles?
I've never like professionally Yeah, I take that back.
Uh,
I do it for I do like discrete trial trainings and stuff like that, where we take that's like a pretty minor. We build some sort of profile with our residents whenever we first get them because sure, a lot of them come with papers and a history and things like that, but you truly can't get to build a program until you sit down with your residents and get to know them and see what they're actually made of per se.
okay.
Um, and so, we sit down our residents, for example, and I could pull out a circle, triangle, and square, and I'm trying to see if they could discriminate between these three objects, like how bad off are they, how good are they, can they play matching games, can they do can they discriminate against food, like do they know what a pepper looks like, can they
Oh.
uh, do they know if water is hot? Can they feel pain? Do they know colors? Are they colorblind? Can you see? Can you vocalize blue? Can you understand the words that I'm speaking? Things like that. Once we get more knowledge of what they can and can't do, we're able to put together an actual plan to try to get them on an actual living schedule and things like that to make their lives slightly better because they're fucked, right? But
Seems like it, yeah.
yeah, and not so kind words, but yeah, that's this. Yeah, handed a fucking bad card, right? And I could probably build a profile pretty well.
And then a lot of that would be, would you say that you kind of build it on off of instinct? How often
Yeah,
do you go through life on that gut feeling and then the instinct?
like every time I talk to somebody, like if I don't actually have, I feel like I don't have like a lot of friends, even though I probably have a lot of friends. I feel like I don't have a lot of friends because of that instinct. Like I basically whenever I talk to people at first glance and stuff like that, I just mirror what they say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I call it mirroring anyway. Like I
Sure.
just I find some sort of common ground with them and basically just repeat back what they're telling me. And because of that, I'm able to be liked right away. But I
Mm-hmm.
never really get in too deep if I'm not really interested in the person. But they automatically assume we're friends.
It seems like you're probably more easy to talk to then.
What's that?
You're more easy to talk to
Yeah, for
by
sure.
doing this mirroring thing.
Yeah, yeah. And I instinctively do that. That's just like something I can't help. I can't help that. Like I actually just do that.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried not doing it and it doesn't work. It's how I talk to people.
All right, so you're mostly driven by instinct, you would say then.
Yeah.
How's your memory?
Fucking fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Very, very good. Since I smoke weed, not so well anymore, but that's good because I don't like having so many memories. Like it's not fun for me.
So can you remember what you did last Monday?
Yeah, I worked. I could as long as
I
as long
mean,
as it's something that I have to focus on, I can remember it.
okay, so you wouldn't say that you have like a photographic memory of, everything that you've done in the past, 24 hours, for
Oh
example.
no, it's not like a photographic memory. It's more of like a memory of like sentimental memories. They tend to stick with me a lot more.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Math, I don't like math, so I don't really care to remember it.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, numbers bore me. I don't like numbers as much as we need them. I don't like them because it means that there's an end.
It means there's an end. It
So
means there's a solution,
yeah,
and that
I
would
hate
be the
solutions.
end.
I like I like my problems with no endings. I
Oh,
guess
I mean, it always gives you something to do, I suppose.
it gives me something to do. Exactly, like I could come up with different solutions, and I love being wrong too. Like if I could, I'm not always wrong, but like I love being wrong whenever I am wrong.
Speaking of love, how easy is it for you to love someone or something?
Used to be just super easy. Like I said, whenever I was a kid, I could fall in love with the wall. From what I understood love to be at that time, I think the definition of love changes as you grow into life and things like that. You actually don't. It's not the same. There's many types of love.
What's your type of love?
I love meatloaf. Amazing.
Fair.
I love food because it's comforting, things like that. I love food because you need it. It tastes amazing. Do I
Hmm.
would I have sex with it? No. Would I
Okay, right.
marry it? No.
Okay.
If I was talking about a relationship type love, I look for more probably friendship now. With my first love, I had this whole ideology of how things were supposed to be, and I really tried, sticking to what she wanted, and I tried to become the person that she wanted, even dressing how she wanted me to, talking how she wanted me to. I would dress like how she wanted me to, talk how she wanted me to, do all these things that she wanted me to do. I even went as far as going to college for her. I took every single class together with her just to help her with her homework, and I would lie and say, "Oh, it's because I want to do the exact same job that she wanted to do." That was how far in love I fell.
Hmm.
That was becoming the person who I was with. I guess that was like a huge thing.
How did that impact you?
Oh, it doesn't work because it's an act. All acts fail eventually.
Okay.
Uh, Nothing lasts forever. Blah 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 blah.
How did it feel to be essentially restricted on who you were to be someone else?
I believe that people are prisoners before they go into jail or prison. Like they already have that mindset, and I truly felt like I was in prison without being in prison. Um, you have to develop a mentality, and you have to lock yourself away inside. And really, a good example I always think of is Naruto, actually, because I related so well to him on this level
Obligatory,
because
obligatory anime reference. Okay.
yeah, you have like this nine-tailed fox locked away inside you.
Hmm.
But on the outside, you have this, wimpy, blue-eyed boy. It's a damn shame that you have to keep this damn nine-tailed fox locked up because the person around you is not accepting of who you are, and that sucks. And going years like that, it does feel like you're in a prison, and especially whenever it ends, right? For me anyway, my entire life collapsed. Like everything around me collapsed. I didn't want to do anything. Like all this time that I had spent building an image for her, building a character for her,
Hmm.
I didn't want to do anymore. If
Okay.
she wasn't there, I didn't want it.
So
So
it kind of just exploded or broke down or.
yeah, yeah. So everything broke down, and eventually, I split off and started talking to new people and finding myself again, I guess, per se. I had to get back to a baseline, and I had to figure out what that baseline was. I had to figure out a lot of different things about myself.
Oh, what did you find out?
I had to really dig deep into like actual like personality type stuff. I didn't know who I was at that time, and I remember like asking you, for example, just like about like what the fuck am I, like who am I, like I remember asking you that and stuff like that, and sitting and playing video games. I fell into like a super deep depression like after that, and I lost a ton of weight and started dieting and everything like that again. And I remember just trying to build a person again of who I actually am, uh, what I love. I started drawing. I started getting into doing tattoos and stuff
No,
like
right, the
that.
tattoos.
Yeah, I started started doing, or I fell in love with doing that. Wish I had some more time to do it, peacefully now. But
Hmm.
yeah, something I still do though in my car. I draw a tattoo on myself,
No,
things like that.
so you still keep it alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm basically just finding my passions and stuff like that about myself, really.
Hmm.
And understanding that I am not what other people want me to be. I'm just being real with. I have to, be real with myself and be real with the other people around me. I always feel like I'm very reckless with things that I do, like naturally. Like I just I can't help that. Like period. Like I do my best to, but uh, a lot of people, try to pretend to be reckless and things like that, and they think it's like cool and shit like that, but it's actually not. Like it sucks having a mentality of delinquent. Like it actually sucks.
Hmm.
But I'm always on a never-ending chase to be normal or wanting to be normal, I guess. But it's never gonna happen for me, I feel.
You have a rather abnormal job.
Yeah.
Do you have a desire to be that normal?
No, this is just what I'm naturally good at. Like, I don't even care to be doing this.
Mm.
If I could just sit and draw all day, I would. If I can make money with it. I appreciate what I do. It's not your normal thing. Because like, for example, I can't work at a warehouse. That is like, for me, that's a dumb job. Like I can't do it. I respect warehouse worker. I got, friends who work in warehouses. Like I've worked in warehouses myself. I just don't like it. I
Mm.
can't do blue collar type work. It's not for me. I would rather sell drugs.
I'm sure you'd be good at it.
You know, I can't say that on YouTube. Don't put that on there.
No, it's too late now.
You got to do what you got to do. But I would rather do things like that than go work at a warehouse or I tried fast food, but I ended up telling a person to come in and do it at work or make an ice cream for himself. I got fired that day.
Oh, well, did you learn a lesson?
Oh yeah, I learned a valuable lesson in customer service. You never tell a customer to come make his own food.
Oh, yeah, they might get upset about that. I type Naruto as an ENFP.
Yeah, for sure.
Would you say you identify with Naruto then?
Oh, of course.
Of course, because you also have a demon, a nine-tailed fox inside you, right?
Yeah, I guess so. As silly as that sounds, that's a solid analogy
Can
for it.
you tell me about this demon?
Oh, I am him now. Like I don't actually hide myself anymore.
Oh, okay.
Like the person, the demon that's inside is like I'm just a normal person, bro. It's just me. It's just a analogy for just being the real you.
Okay.
It's not an actual demon per se, but I always thought that was cool.
So now you're fully into following these instincts, these feelings.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Like
they,
I'm fully aware of like my feelings and what I know to be true, and I'm not scared to vocalize those feelings anymore.
okay. So
My next step that I'm working on right now is actually being able to verbalize my words. I struggle with finding the right words to say to people to really make them understand,
mhm.
or to like put my thoughts into a science. It'd be really really cool. So I'm working on that.
Okay. How's that going?
It's getting there. It's getting there.
Okay.
I'm a lot easier. I'm more comfortable with speaking how I feel these days. So I think it's going a little better.
Do you have any stance politically?
On what?
Politically, any stances? Any?
Uh, just like regular, like mainstream politics, I don't really care for. I think a lot of it isn't like for the people or anything like that. A lot of it's I'm like not that just the expense of sounding like some sort of like fucking conspiracy theorist or some shit. But
Mm.
I really believe like the government can be corrupt. I don't think it's fair to a lot of people. I don't think like any politician is for everybody. They're usually for a certain group of people or they have an agenda of their own. A lot of it's ran by people with money. I feel like the voting system is rigged. I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah, I just don't really like care for it.
Have you found any MBTI to be helpful to you?
I've only really scratched the surface of it. A lot of the memes and things like that I've seen, or I'm following a few pages on Instagram, for example, of like ENFP things and whatnot. And
Do you feel like you relate
I
to that?
enjoy
Or?
seeing like coincidences within my own personal my own personalities and stuff like that. It's really fun. Not all of them are correct about me, but a lot of them are.
Hmm.
So
And of course, you do a lot of imagining of things.
all the time. My life's a music video.
Well, that's good. Is it complete with like big booty bitches and
At times.
At times.
Depends. Just depends on the whatever phase in life I'm going through. Right now, it feels more like a Nickelback album.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Look at this photograph. Yeah. Fantastic. So you believe that you identify with the ENFP personality. Have you read anything about it? Did you watch my video
just
on
base
it?
level stuff, just scratching the surface on things, but no, I haven't read much about it.
Do you think it could be helpful to you?
Sure. Yeah.
Do you use any other personality type scales or indicators, etc.?
I enjoy the idea of astrology as well. That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a few other like just common things, I guess. Like I enjoy just any personality games or any personality trait games or anything like that that could anything that helps you figure out who the fuck you are and you actually resonate with it is going to be helpful.
Hmm.
You don't have to follow it to a T. You don't have to do anything like that, but having some sort of understanding of you and yourself is invaluable.
Yeah, knowing your strengths and weaknesses, I suppose.
Uh, yeah, just yeah, figure if MBTI can help you out with that, then yeah, that's fucking great. People go to religion, so why not?
So, what would you say your weaknesses are? Your biggest weaknesses?
My biggest weaknesses,
Mm-hmm.
very scattered. I could think of about 110 different things at once plus 10. Like it's never ending. Like I could get lost in things. Growing up especially, that was really hard for me to sit down and focus on one thing.
Sure.
And I got told I had ADHD a lot, even
Mm-hmm.
though I was never actually diagnosed with it because I never really cared to go to the actual appointments.
Me neither.
The idea of being drugged up because of how I felt was never really a fun idea.
That seems rather anathema to your personality to dull yourself.
And so I never really cared for any of that. Very hard for me to focus on menial tasks, especially. Like I would want to shoot myself in the freaking face if you put me on an assembly line and made me do that for 40 hours a week.
Right, right, right.
That would be hell. You know.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It sounds like there's better things you could be doing with your time. Your current relationship. Do you are you more expressive? Are you able to be more expressive in your current relationship?
Yeah, I actually I think she is like probably I haven't had her take a test or anything like that for MBTI, but like I'm almost positive she's an ENFP as well. Like I'm probably like 80% sure. So
Oh,
it's fun.
that does sound rather. I mean, what is that like to feel like you're with someone that's essentially the female version of you?
It's fun because sex wise it's we're always on the same page, right? Like it's like I'm horny too, like let's fucking let's go. It's like it's no problem with that, like and we could do it anywhere, like it doesn't even matter, like it's cool. But she's obviously, I think experiences really make a person.
That makes sense.
Regardless of your personality, your experiences will always play probably the biggest role in who you become, because that personality is just going to dictate how you handle your experiences.
Hmm.
So it's everybody has had different experiences. Is what makes us unique. I think she's handled her experiences fucking like gorgeously, like amazing. Like she
Joseph, you sound
uh
in love.
uh I think that she's fucking hilarious, because I would handle the same situations,
Hmm.
exactly like the same, overwork myself to death. Um, imagine a plane, right? Like you're the pilot of this plane, and you already know that this plane is bad. Okay, like before you even get this motherfucker in the air, you already know that this plane is not good for flying, but you're gonna
Hmm.
fly it anyway. So you hop in this plane, and you're going, and it's just a matter of minutes before something starts going off. Like you start seeing the bolts start, just popping off at the seams of the wings and shit like that as you're flying.
Hmm.
You know it's going down, so you reach for the microphone and you pull it closer to your face just to realize the wire's been cut. Okay, when, so you've got all these passengers on this plane. And they have no clue. But you do your best, right? Because regardless, you're gonna make sure every person on this fucking plane lives. Okay. So you're going down, like, and you try to tell your passengers, but the emergency door, that the hatch to the back is locked, and you're stuck in this cockpit. You can't get to the people in your plane, and people start screaming in the back as they realize that okay, things are going bad.
Hmm.
But you're able to safely land the plane, okay? But not safely. It looks just damaged, like it looks really bad. But it's you're still going. You made it into the middle of a jungle. That's basically the end goal. So just barely skating by, and that's really been really been the story of like, mine and her life, really. Like that's, and so I've found commonality between that. Not the same experiences, but
Hmm.
same outcomes.
On a core level, you believe that you would have both handled each other's situations in roughly the same way.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. We'd both be able to land a crashing plane, things like that, and we would give our arms and legs to do so. That would be the other thing.
Mm.
It would be once again something that nobody else could do.
And look so good doing it, I imagine.
Yeah, you would look at, but the thing is, nobody else would be in the situation to begin with.
That I
So
believe, yes. Um,
like,
I will save you from this situation. I put you all in. Don't worry.
yeah,
Um,
like I said, I knew this plane was not good before we started flying.
how are your communication skills? Speaking of microphones that aren't connected,
Not very good with a lot of people.
not very good. Your communication skills aren't very good. I was wondering how your communication skills were, and whether or not you communicate often, or do you just kind of receive information and then move on with that?
I guess I receive information and move on, I suppose. But I mean, I ask questions a lot too. Like, if something doesn't feel right or sound right to me, I tend to say something. Like I at least ask the question why.
It's a good question to ask.
I know not all people ask why, but it's an important thing, and I don't. It can be about a marble, like, and if I don't understand, like, for some reason, like, depending on who's talking about a marble, I'd probably want to know more about that marble. uh,
How high are you right now?
I'm very high, but which is why I'm trying to
Uh,
think of like different ways to like that maybe I'd communicate, right, but like I don't know, I'm not really that strong at communicating, I feel.
okay.
So to
So you
answer the
just kind of
question,
rely on body language, like you said, to just
yeah,
get that
yeah,
information and how you
for
might need
sure,
to behave afterwards.
for sure.
So let's see. We've got your imagination is untamed. Essentially, you can't really control it. You're led around by your instincts, gut feelings, and you picked up the skill for body language.
Yeah.
Uh, highly empathic.
Mhm.
Okay, so what are my biggest flaws?
Your biggest flaws.
Yes, you've known me for a fair amount of time.
Yeah, we share a lot of similar flaws. I don't think you actually want to work, the same job. And so, like, obviously, you're doing, YouTube stuff and content. I don't think that you'd be very good at regular jobs either, not for long term anyway. It bores you. Things bore you, right? Like, it's just you get bored easily. You're argumentative as well.